Through the Spirit.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity to even eat. So they went off in the boat by themselves to a deserted place. People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. When he disembarked, he saw the vast crowd. His heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, let me begin by introducing my three new friends, the three amigos. Well, gentlemen, why don't you get up here and sit in the front row? So you get you out of the cheap seats. Where are you guys from? This is Doran, this is Tanner, and this is Tristan. Where are you guys from? Illinois. What part of Illinois? St. Louis area. Okay. Is there a town that you live in, or is it just, what's it called? Mascoutah. Okay. Well, near Buffalo. I thought Buffalo was in New York. Oh, Bell. Oh, excuse me. Yes. Well, welcome to our little church in the mountains. It's really nice to have you. Now, I'm going to test you. So, pay attention. Okay. I'm only teasing. Well, let me start with this. Can any one of you three, did you go to church last weekend? Can you remember what the gospel was last weekend? No. See, this is the difference between hearing and listening, all right? In fact, can anybody in this church tell me what was the gospel last Sunday?
Looking at the books.
Oh, I know somebody's thinking about it. I mean, come on, Lord have mercy. Nobody can tell me what the gospel was last Sunday. Robert, not even you?
Must have been, I've forgotten.
It must have been a good homily. It must have been a good homily. Do you remember how we were talking about? Oh, okay. Oh, she's cheating. She's looking at the Miss Slett. Yes, Lord?
Jesus told the disciples to go off and teach, and he told them to shake off.
That's it. That's it. Did you look? Did you cheat? You remembered, okay? It was the sending out of the 12, right? We talked about how Jesus said, don't take anything but a walking stick and sandals. And we had talked about the whole idea was relying on God. Well, this gospel today picks up exactly where we left off last week. So they've come back from their mission and they're very excited. They're very excited because they got a lot of success on that mission. They got a lot of success on that mission because largely they followed instructions, right? They didn't remember how you didn't move from house to house and you didn't take anything but a walking stick and sandals, and you went out and they preached the good news and they anointed many people with oil and they healed many people, they cast out many demons. So this was Christian kindergarten, really. They haven't graduated quite yet, but they're excited, right? It's that first fervor. So they come back and they want to report it all to Jesus. And I can just see in my mind's eye, they're standing there probably interrupting each other. Oh my God, can you believe what happened? And I did this and I did. James did that. And did you see her over there, John? And I did this and all over. And Jesus, we're just so happy. And Jesus said something that was quite not expected. Jesus said something that was kind of weird. Jesus said something that doesn't fit into what we would normally say, which I guess if you've been hanging around Jesus for more than 5 minutes, you know that that's not all that unusual for him, right? What does he say? He doesn't say, well, let's celebrate, it's great. He says, come away. Come away to a deserted place and rest. Which started. What are you talking about? You want me to? Yes, come away and rest. Now, why is that? That's a strange thing. They've just had this huge spiritual success, and Jesus is saying, I want you to come away and rest and be quiet. I want you to be still, and I want you to hear from God what your next move is. And I guess it's not all that surprising, because we see many times throughout the scriptures, Jesus steals away. My brothers and I would call it the old Irish exit. Okay, you don't really say goodbye, you just disappear. All of a sudden, Dad's not in the room anymore because he went to bed. He didn't say goodnight to anybody. He's just kind of steal away to pray, to be with his Father, and to commune. Why is he? I mean, the one detail is they didn't even have enough time to eat. Yet, no, I want you to take away and I want you to rest. Well, let me take you way back to the very beginning of our faith. I know that this might come a shock to some people, but actually, we were born out of Judaism. Christianity is a radical splinter sect that came out of Judaism. Did you know that Jesus, he was Jewish? So we are all spiritual Jews. We are Judeo-Christians. So the foundations of our faith is in Judaism, right? So the foundations of Judaism, well, of course it's in Abraham, but I mean, that's wandering tribes of Israel, but it really kind of took its mold and got its feet with Moses, okay? So the foundation of Judaism is Mosaic law, and the foundation of Mosaic law is the 10 Commandments, right? They're not suggestions, 10 Commandments. Could you tell me what the 10 Commandments are? Oh, isn't it amazing? You know what? Okay, don't kill. Well, let's start from the beginning. I am the Lord your God. You should have no other gods beside me. Okay? Number 1. Number 2, you should not carve graven images. Don't worship idols. Number 3, you should not use the Lord's name in vain. And you know what? And just in passing, that one's very interesting. Because we have a lot of words we can choose from. I imagine some of us have more words than others, but even a relatively uneducated person, I think, probably has 4,000 words that you can say. Now, when I hear do not take the Lord's name in vain, I think of one word. And I think if you use your imagination, you can know what that word is. One word starts with a G. Don't say it. Don't say it. But isn't it interesting that this one word, the one word that you're not supposed to say, out of 4,000 words, you hear it all the time. It's almost like there's a dark force in this world that makes that word present. It just kind of gets me ill. And you know, I was watching CNN the other night. Larry King's gone, so it's Piers Morgan, right? And he's interviewing Robert Blake. And, you know, that guy, he's one fry short of a Happy Meal. Okay, this guy is crazy. And Robert Blake is talking, and he's just cussing left and right, and it's like bleeping it on. Bleep, 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 bleep. You know, he's just foul mouth. But then he uses that one word. And they don't bleep that out. Somehow it's okay to say that one word. Isn't that kind of strange that this one word seems to be so permissive in our society? But let's go on. That's number 3. Number 4 is keep the Sabbath holy. Number 5 is, and you should know this one, it's the only one in the whole, all out of 10 that comes with a promise. The promise is if you do this, you have a long, prosperous life. You know what it is? Number 5, number 5, number 5. Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Honor your mother and father. Yes, number 5. He gets a gold star when he gets home. Number 6 is you shall not kill. Number 7 is you shall not commit adultery. We'll talk about that in a couple of years, okay? You're a little young for that one. Number 8 is you shall not steal. Right? It was kill, adultery, steal. And then number 9 is you should not bear false witness. which is gossiping and lying. And number 10 is you should not covet. And it goes into donkey or neighbor's wife or possessions, these kind of things. I want to talk about number 4. Honor the Sabbath. What does that really mean? It's molded after the 7th day when God rested. I mean, that's where it came from. But we've really it's kind of gone out of favor, really. These days, honoring the Sabbath has kind of been reduced to an hour in church on Sundays. But of course, now Vatican II, we're allowed to do it on Sabbaths, okay? And it counts, right? But the idea is, we go to church on Sundays, that's honoring our Sabbath, and then we go run around and do everything like we do every other day, really. I mean, most of us. And look, I'm as guilty as anybody else. I mean, of course, I got a little bit of an excuse because I'm very busy on Sundays. I do a 7 o'clock Mass, 9 o'clock Mass, and an 11 o'clock Mass. But instead of coming home and just resting, I'm usually getting ready for the next week because, you know, the liturgy of the Word or homiletics is like the gift that keeps on giving. It just keeps on coming. So I get an early start on it. But do we ever take the time to just stop? Do we ever take the time to just rest? I mean, my friends, you have to breathe in before you can breathe out. You have to shoot the arrow, you gotta pull the bow back. At some point, you gotta be quiet. How are you gonna ever hear from God if all you're doing is talking? How are we ever gonna hear from God if all we're doing is running? If we're so busy caught up in the axles of our lives and we never stop and just say, hey, what am I supposed to do? Think about this. If your prayer life consists of, well, I could use this, and can you help me with this? And I'd like you to pray for this person. I'd like you to take care of this. And it's a laundry list, and then God becomes Santa Claus, right? We just ask him, and we get it back. Imagine if you had a friend, and the only time you ever heard from this friend is when they needed something from you. I mean, would that be a friend at all? No. Wouldn't you want a friend to just come by and say, hey, I don't really need you. They just want to come by and hang out, you know? I want to just hang out. There's a Greek word for that. It's called meno. It means abide or endure. When Jesus says, work for food that does not perish but that endures forever, what he's saying is abide with me today. This is not just something we got to wait till we die and we get to meet Jesus. You can meet Jesus today and you can be with Jesus today. But that's a whole nother homily. What I want to talk about is this. How often do we just stop, put the pause button on, and just rest? And say, Lord, what do you want me to do? Let me make a suggestion to you. This is a great prayer. Be still and know that I am God. Okay, so you know this prayer, right? So it's I think it's in the Psalm somewhere. I don't know, where did that come from? Be still and know that I am God. But if you sit
Psalm
still,
46, verse 10.
and you couldn't remember last Sunday's homily. This guy.
A little bit of patchwork there.
Okay, be still and know that I am God. Yes. That's where it comes from. Thank you, Robert. I invite you to sit down and try this, because this is really cool. Sit down in your couch or your chair, be alone, and just say to yourself, be still and know that I am God. And then I want you to think about that. What does that mean? Then after a while, I want you to drop off a word and then say, be still and know that I. Think about that for a while. What does that mean? And then drop off a word and say, be still and know that. Think about that for a while. Be still and know. Okay. Be still and. Be still. And then finally, you're graduating to the highest level. Be. Can we just be? No, man, because we got to do something. We got to be moving. If we're not just doing something. I remember this woman gave me this little 3-minute timer, one of those little hourglass things. She goes, Father, here's what I want you to do. Every day, at some point, I want you to flip over this sand thing. It's only 3 minutes, and then I don't want you to do anything. I don't want you to pray. I don't want you to do any paperwork. I don't want you to think. I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to just be. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Eventually, I ended up losing the thing. You know? So look, I'm not standing in judgment because I'm not any better at this than most people. But the point of our gospel today that I want to make is this. We have to make time to recharge the battery. We have to make time. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so we can listen twice as much as we talk, which is hard to do. We have to make time to be with God. Now, I'm not saying that Sunday, if you do laundry or go to the mall, that somehow that's a sin, although there are some people that would say that. I'm not one of those people, but let's give them something. Let's give them some moment, and if you're wondering, if you want God to speak to you, I'll tell you what. Try this. God speaks to you through this word, and you want Him to speak to you out loud, well then read it out loud, okay? God will speak to you. Take a moment this week. That's how I feel too, brother. Take a moment this week and just get alone to be with God and say, hey, what do you want from me? How can I be your hands and your feet to this world?